You offered your heart and were ignored. The pain is real, negative thoughts are consuming you, and it seems impossible to move forward. But the Stoics faced this same situation 2,000 years ago and discovered something revolutionary. Romantic rejection doesn't destroy you. It's your thoughts about rejection that cause the real suffering. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to remove negative thoughts using ancient Stoic wisdom, how to transform this pain into growth, and why being ignored might be the best gift you've ever received. Get ready to see rejection in a completely different way. The brutal truth that liberates. Epictetus, who spent years as a slave before becoming a philosopher, taught something that initially seems cruel, but is deeply liberating. You were never rejected. Impossible. Because rejection implies that something of yours was evaluated and considered insufficient. But here's the philosophical truth. The person who ignored you didn't reject you. They simply didn't recognize your value. And there's a gigantic difference between these two things. Think about it. If you offer a genuine diamond to someone who only recognizes colored glass, and that person ignores the diamond, did the diamond lose value? Of course not. Someone's inability to recognize value doesn't diminish the value. The Stoics were obsessed with this distinction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." What he was saying is that the wound isn't in the other person's action. It's in your interpretation of that action. When you think I was rejected because I'm not enough, you're creating your own suffering. But when you think this person didn't have the capacity to recognize what I was offering, you're observing reality without adding toxic narrative. And this shift in perspective isn't just semantic. It's the difference between weeks of agony and immediate growth. Removing negative thoughts at the root. The Stoics had a specific method for removing negative thoughts, and it starts with recognizing that thoughts are not facts. You weren't rejected, you think you were rejected. It sounds like a small detail, but it's the difference between mental prison and freedom. Seneca practiced something he called examination of thoughts. Every negative thought that arose, he paused and asked, "Is this absolute truth or my interpretation?" Let's apply this. Negative thought. No one will ever love me. Stoic examination. Is this absolute truth? Of course not. It's emotional dramatization based on one experience. Negative thought. There's something wrong with me. Stoic examination. Based on what evidence? One person didn't reciprocate your feelings. Does this prove a defect in you or just incompatibility? The Stoics were relentless in questioning thoughts because they understood that an unexamined mind creates unnecessary suffering. Here's the practical exercise. Take each negative thought about the situation and write it down. Then, below each one, write, "What's the objective evidence for this?" You'll discover that 90% of your negative thoughts have no basis in reality. They're stories you're telling yourself. And stories can be rewritten. The dichotomy of control applied to love. The most powerful Stoic principle for this situation is the dichotomy of control. There are only two categories of things, what you control and what you don't control. And here's the liberating truth. You never controlled the other person's feelings. Never. You can control how you present yourself, how you treat someone, how you communicate your feelings. But you can't control whether the person reciprocates. When you offered your love and were ignored, you did your part. You acted according to your values. You were authentic. You had courage to be vulnerable. All of this was under your control, and you executed. The other person's response? Completely outside your control. So why are you torturing yourself over something that was never in your hands? Marcus Aurelius faced this constantly as emperor. He made wise decisions, governed with justice, but couldn't control whether senators would support, whether peoples would rebel, whether generals would remain loyal. And he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Applying to love, you have power over loving, not over being loved back. And when you understand this viscerally, negative thoughts lose power. Because every negative thought you have is based on the illusion that you should control the uncontrollable. Why didn't she love me? Because love isn't controllable. What's wrong with me? Nothing necessarily. Compatibility and attraction aren't rational equations. I'll never find someone. You don't control the future. See? Each negative thought comes from trying to control what cannot be controlled. Transforming pain into philosophical growth. The Stoics had a concept called Amor Fati, love of fate. And before you think it's about passively accepting, understand, it's about actively transforming obstacles into growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Being ignored isn't the end of your romantic journey. It's the doorway to a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of you. Ask yourself honestly, what is this experience teaching you? Perhaps it's showing you that you were investing in someone emotionally unavailable. Perhaps it's revealing your patterns that need attention. Perhaps it's forcing you to develop self-love you've neglected. Each rejection, each ignorance, each romantic disillusionment is a brutal but effective teacher. Seneca said that difficulties are exercises the gods send to strengthen our virtue. You don't need to believe in gods to understand the principle. Challenges develop character. You can waste this experience sinking into negative thoughts, or you can use it as fuel to become someone even more incredible. Someone who doesn't depend on external validation to feel valuable. Someone who loves without desperate attachment. Someone who can be vulnerable and then recover with dignity. Rebuilding your internal narrative. Negative thoughts are narratives you tell repeatedly until you believe they're true, but you have power to tell different stories. Negative story: I was rejected, and this proves I'm inadequate. Stoic story: I offered my best, the person didn't reciprocate, and now I'm free to find someone who recognizes my value. Same situation, completely different meaning. The Stoics practiced reframing, reformulating situations. It's not denying pain. It's choosing interpretation that serves your growth, not your destruction. You feel pain because you loved genuinely. That's not weakness, it's humanity. You were ignored, and it hurts. Acknowledge the pain, but don't add unnecessary suffering through toxic thoughts that amplify natural pain. Epictetus taught, it's not things that disturb people, but their judgments about things. The person ignored you. That's the fact. Everything else, every narrative of, I'm not enough, I'll never find love, there's something wrong with me, that's judgment you added. And you can, in this moment, choose to stop adding these judgments. Freedom lies in radical acceptance. Acceptance isn't resignation. It's recognition of reality as it is, not as you'd like it to be. The person didn't reciprocate your love. That's reality. Fighting against this reality, ruminating, creating alternative scenarios in your head, all of this is waste of energy that could be building your future. The Stoics were pragmatic. Accept what happened, extract the lesson, move forward. Marcus Aurelius practiced what we today call radical acceptance. He asked, has this already happened? Yes. Can I change the past? No. So what's the next wisest step? This simple sequence cuts through all mental rumination. Yes, you were ignored. No, you can't change that. So the next wise step is to remove thoughts that don't serve, strengthen yourself, and open yourself to future possibilities. Being ignored doesn't define you. How you respond to being ignored, that defines you. You can dissolve into negative thoughts and victimization. Or you can use this as catalyst to become someone so centered, so confident, so complete in yourself, that future rejection will have no power over you. The choice, as always in Stoic philosophy, is under your control. Your love was ignored, and it hurts. But you have power to remove negative thoughts that transform natural pain into prolonged suffering. Question every negative thought. Apply the dichotomy of control, transform obstacle into growth, reframe your narrative, and practice radical acceptance. You weren't rejected because you're insufficient. You simply offered value to someone incapable of recognizing it. And now you're free to find someone who will recognize it. If this video helped you see rejection differently, leave your like now. Subscribe to the channel for more Stoic wisdom that transforms pain into power. And remember, you are the diamond, no matter if someone confused you with glass.